Hello everyone and welcome back to Zipcode. If you're new here, welcome to YouTube. So in today's video, we'll be discussing an important topic for aspiring web developers. How long will it take to become a web developer in 2023? So with the dynamic nature of the field and continuous evolution of technologies or the stacks, it is crucial to understand the time investment required to pursue a career in web development. So let's dive right in. So essentially, we want to start with the understanding of the basics. So before we get into the time frame, it is essential to have a solid understanding of what web development entails. So essentially, web development involves designing, creating, maintaining websites or web applications. It encompasses different areas such as front end, back end development, as well as full stack development. So each of these different areas obviously have their own set of skills to master. Therefore, the stacks that you need to consider are quite different in that sense. So the one I think that we want to talk about is setting a realistic expectation for each and every one of these different stacks, being it front end, back end, or full stack. So the one thing that we want to talk about is becoming a proficient web developer requires time and dedication. That's Those are the two important variables that you need to consider. So you need to dedicate and commit yourself into what you are trying to do. It is important to set realistic expectations right from the start. So this is very key because you don't want to push yourself to extents where you cannot actually enjoy the process, appreciate the process, and end up just giving up simply because you pushed yourself too far. Take small chunk bites of code as you go and as you improve on your web development journey, and it will become something very beautiful. So the time it takes to become a web developer can vary based on several factors, and including prior experience on coding, if you have it, if you don't, how long you've been in the field, and which languages have you used, and things like that. So the amount of time you can dedicate to learning and complexity of the project you aim to undertake. So all of these factors, they play a very important role, because if you are starting out and you want to create an enterprise application just from the get-go, you've never seen code in your life, you're going to think code is this massive creature that you don't want to face. But if you take small size chunks, bit by bit, and if you follow zip code, you would have seen that with our tutorials, we start from beginner and we take you through the different stacks, Angular being the front end that we prioritize, and Spring Boot or Java being the back end that we prioritize. And with these two technologies that we're using for front end and back end, we're then able to encompass a full stack development tutorials here and there where we integrate these two stacks, and you can see a fully blown application in real time. And I appreciate that because we taking it in small size chunks. So the next thing is to learning the fundamentals. Learn the fundamentals. This is very crucial for any developer, even senior developers, senior system architects. This is one thing that they recommend. Know the fundamentals, know what you're talking about, know what you're dealing with. And this is very important as well. Ask for help where needed. So to become a web developer, you need to learn these fundamentals. This includes HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So these basically form the foundation of web development, and these languages are relatively easy to learn. You can get started with online tutorials and interactive coding platforms. So depending on your commitment and the time you put in, you can expect to grasp the basics within few weeks to a couple of months with you starting to code. So with these three technologies already, you can be able to learn code in a couple of weeks, with your first project, 3 to 6 months, you'd already be up and running, and you will see some great results by just understanding the fundamentals and going further than that into the future, because you know the critical points or the building blocks of web development, and the smaller units that make web development what it is, it becomes easier for you to see complex principles, or being involved in much bigger conversations, because you understand the fundamentals of what makes web development as a whole. So basically, that's the essence of grasping the core concepts that build the entire web space, essentially. So we want to now dive deep in specializing in either front end or back end development, or you can even say full stack in this case, because these are the two different technologies. So once you have a solid grasp of the fundamentals, you can choose to specialize in front end or back end development. With front-end developers focus on the visual and interactive aspect of a website, whilst the back-end developers work on the server side and database-related functionality. So I know that a lot of people don't like back-end development, because they say it's much more complicated. There's so much things to consider: the infrastructure, the network, the application servers, the performance, as well as database, all of that setup. They don't want to deal with it. So hence you have a lot of developers being front end, where they can just deal with how the user interface, UI, UX design, the look and feel of the application, and all of those front end of or client facing interfaces. So they prefer that, but depending on which one you prefer. And also the salaries would be um, fairly competitive based on experience. Obviously, the more experience that you have, the more money you make, and depending on the country that you are, you would know that in the US, if you good if you have good experience, you're looking at 100K per annum salaries, something around that. So the experience with both of these is fairly competitive as you grow. So I wouldn't pin a benefit or a one to be higher than the other one. And obviously, it also depends on the firm that you're working on, and all of those factors come into play when it comes to the wages and salaries. So that's that. The one other thing is specializing in either front end or back end development can take several months to a year. So if you want to like specialize in one, as I said, like 3 to 6 months you can have your project. But going beyond that, like 7 months, going to a year, then you can choose which one you want to go with, which one is much more easier for you, or which one you feel comfortable doing, and then you sort of focus on that, and sticking more into the fundamentals of that particular stack. And then depending on the complexity of the project you tackle and the depth of knowledge you aim to achieve. So this is very important. You need to grasp all of this as soon as possible in the early stages of your learning journey. And because tech changes so quick. With front end, it's even insane, because you have Angular, you have Vue.js, you have React, you have Backbone.js, you have JavaScript, you have all of these technologies that are out there, and some languages like Java or Spring, you have JFF, you have JSPs, you have Timeleaf, which is all of these are just front end technologies that I'm mentioning in the different um, in different projects, or in different stacks that can be available for you to learn and master. And you need to consider a number of technologies that you need to know for all of these and how they work. But essentially, once you grasp the fundamentals, especially in Angular, Vue.js, React, Backbone.js, all of this, the fundamentals is JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. Those are the fundamentals. Once you master those, you can be flexible across all of these technologies and be able to adapt as quick as possible. So that's it on the front end and the back end side. And now we want to see gaining like practical experience, which is another key factor, because you don't want to be on the theory side only, guys. The very important thing is for you to put it into practice, whatever you're learning, put it into practice. So while theoretical knowledge is crucial, practical experience is equally important in becoming a proficient web developer. So building real-world projects, participating in open source projects, or working on freelance opportunities, things like Fiverr, Upwork can help you apply your skills, gain confidence, and expand your portfolio as well. So check these sites out like Fiverr. You can start advertising yourself for freelance projects and opportunities there, as well as Upwork. You can check Upwork on your Google, and it will help you to market yourself and put yourself out there for potential projects that you can start working on. So this practical experience can take anywhere from several months to a couple of years, depending on the intensity of your involvement and the number of projects you undertake. So it goes back to the dedication that you have as an individual. You can if you push yourself so much and commit yourself to it in a few months, you can already have a couple of projects to work on with the assistance of Fiverr and Upwork and similar sites, and also maybe reaching out to different people on your social media as well to put yourself out there and expose yourself to the world that you can deliver such um, um, solutions or web developing websites or assisting web application or organizational applications or enterprise applications, assist those in the front end aspect of the project. So that's essentially in a nutshell what having that practical experience will come in very handy there. So basically, the one advice that I would say is the time it takes to become a web developer in 2023 depends on various factors, including your prior experience, your commitment, and the complexity of your project or the projects that you pursue. So learning the fundamentals can take a few weeks to a couple of months. So three to 6 months is one time frame that I've seen coming very, very profound to new devs or junior devs, and that's very, very important. So in the first 3 to 6 months, make sure you push yourself, you put yourself out there, and commit yourself to learning the fundamentals. And from then on, you can start working on real world projects and put that into practice, your skills into practice. So specializing in front end or back end development may require several months. So excuse me, 7 months to a year, and gaining practical experience can take anywhere from several months to a couple of years. So that level of experience basically is now being able to scale projects, to be able to take on bigger projects, more complex projects, and the likes. So now you're in a serious organizational structure that delivers high scale projects, and that will take you like a year, a couple of years going forward, and that will be a stage where you are most comfortable with your development. So development itself is not a complicated task, not a complicated thing, and it wouldn't take you so long. So I would say the 3 to 6 months, focusing on the core stacks that you want to work on or that you will see yourself aligning to. Dedicate yourself with that time, give yourself be patient with yourself, and just take small size by chunks of each and every stack that you want to see yourself working with. So that's what the developer advice that I would have. And the final thing is, in conclusion, so remember, becoming a web developer is a continuous learning process. So the field is ever evolving, and staying up to date with new technologies and trends will be essential throughout your career. So you need to make sure that you upskill wherever possible. So stay motivated, keep learning, and enjoy the journey. So that's all for today's video. If you found it helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. If you have any questions or suggestions, please leave them in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Cheers.